Hey, what's good, everyone? I'm super hyped if you can't tell because in this video, I'm going to go over how you can go from feeling like you're not maximizing your body's potential to becoming the highest performing, most resilient version of yourself. Basically, I'm going to give you the blueprint to make your body feel and perform how you want it to, when you want it to. The kind of stuff I'm going to cover is how I overcame a sports hernia, sciatica, and continue to train and compete at a high level well after college. These principles have also worked wonders in the athletes and highly active people I've worked with to help them reverse pain and get in shape they didn't even think was possible. Y'all want me to drop the gems? All right, let's get to it. So, who is this training for? You're probably someone who's not necessarily a pro athlete, but you like to train hard, stay in really good shape, and test your body's capabilities. But maybe you're in a position where you're just feeling stagnant in your training, like you're not really progressing and your body isn't responding how it used to. Or you feel like pain and injuries are holding you back from training the way you want and expressing your true potential. Or maybe you just want to squeeze more juice out of your training and uncover the areas that you need to work on to really get the most out of yourself. How many of you out there find yourself in one of these boats? If any or all of these even sound like you, then you're in the right place because I'm going to show you step by step how to achieve your peak shape. All right, so these are the steps. Number one, you have to build a strong foundation. To me, foundation starts with your body awareness because greater awareness means greater control. And when we're talking about fitness and athleticism, posture and breathing control are everything. Number two, going up that pyramid a little bit, you need to follow a sustainable training structure if you want to make continual gains. This means balancing stress and recovery and progressively upping the physical and mental challenge. Step number three at the very top of this pyramid here is to periodically test what you're capable of, whether that's competition, maxing out, or just messing around with your friends. All right, so diving into step one now, building out your foundation. Just like a pyramid, the bigger the base, the taller the peak. So you want to build out your foundation a mile wide so that your peak can be a mile high. Your foundation all starts with working on your overall body awareness. Better awareness will give you better postural and breathing control. The quality of your posture and your breath dictate the efficiency of literally every single system in your body. I don't have time to get into the science of why, but basically, the way you breathe affects how much oxygen will actually reach your organs, and your posture, especially through the spine, determines how cleanly your brain will be able to send signals to your organs to orchestrate their function. The functioning of your body's organ systems is literally the base for how you move and how you perform. Now, the issue is if you're someone who's trained the majority of your life, your nervous system will have deeply ingrained postural and breathing patterns. These patterns you picked up over the years, they're not always the most efficient or the best for your body's longevity. So, by exercising conscious control, and being really intentional in your movement and training, you can rewrite the software that has basically been running your body so that you can move more efficiently and prevent accumulation of wear and tear. The simplest cues and intentionality in your movement can have a huge positive impact on how your body functions and performs. So, some examples you can apply to just about any movement are elongating the spine from tailbone to head, filling the torso 360 degrees with breath, maintaining even pressure distribution through 3 points of the feet. This kind of cueing will help you engage mentally just as much as physically, and it'll turn old exercises into completely new challenges. And it'll also help you get in tune with how your body's naturally designed to function. A good example of this is my client Nick. So he asked for my help because after competing in college, his body was just feeling run down and he felt like his athleticism was declining. So he started working through Knees Over Toes Guys program actually, and he saw some reduction in his pain, but eventually his gains plateaued. And I suspected that it was because he was just going through the motions with the KOT program, and it wasn't really engaging his mind enough to rewrite those old movement patterns that had been causing him pain in the first place. When we started to work together, we just reframed the way he thought about movement, and we did work that was physically and mentally stimulating. That way, he had no choice but to lock in and focus in order to execute the exercises. So, after a week on the program, Nick felt like he was in a more connected space to his body and in control of his body more. And his overall athleticism and ease of movement drastically improved. But most importantly, he didn't feel like he was just breaking his body down with little results to show for it. He felt like he was actually building himself up on a proper foundation. There's obviously a ton more we can cover on building your foundation, but I want to keep this video short and digestible. So we're going to hop right into step number 2, building a sustainable program. Once you build yourself a good foundation, it's time to move up that pyramid and start building on it. So let's talk about a couple concepts here. First is progressive overload. This is the idea that you need to give your body a reason to grow and adapt by placing it in situations that are increasingly mentally and physically demanding. There's an infinite amount of variables that you can tweak to progress your workouts over time. So some examples here are cutting down the rest time between sets, doing more reps, using heavier weight, adding speed to the movement, etc. So you want to make sure that you're staying consistent enough with specific things in your program so that you can reap the benefits from them. But at the same time, you don't want to let yourself get too accustomed to that program. This balance can be depicted with this concept of flow here. So basically, you want to stay in a sweet spot where the challenge doesn't exceed your capabilities so much that you experience anxiety or fear of not doing something right or whatever it may be, but it also isn't so easy that you experience boredom. The more you can stay in that area during training, the more sustainably you'll be able to make progress and avoid plateaus. All right, guys, so if this video has been valuable so far, just drop a like on this video to give me a little feedback so I know I'm giving you good stuff. All right, now on to the second piece in sustainably building your foundation. It's balancing the yin and the yang in not just your training, but also your life. Any of you guys just feel depleted sometimes or feel like you're putting in the work, but instead of results, you just have joint pain and tightness? This could be because the balance of yin and yang in your programming is off. So Chinese philosophy teaches us that yin and yang are two opposing yet equal forces. You can't have one without the other, like darkness and light. And they're both always present within each other. For instance, bright stars in a dark sky, or clouds in a blue sky. And they're also in a constant state of dynamic balance. For instance, the way that day gradually turns into night and vice versa. We can use this concept of yin and yang to approach training with a more balanced approach and extend our longevity. In the context of training, we can look at yin versus yang as restoration versus stimulation. So things like rolling out, stretching, light jogging, these things will be towards the yin end of the spectrum. And things like all-out sprinting or maxing out in the weight room, these are going to be on the yang end. So the goal isn't necessarily to achieve balance every single session. It's to achieve the maximum amount of adaptation to stimuli. So sometimes that may look like heading to one extreme in some sessions and then balancing them out over the course of a week. Here's an example of 2 different sessions on opposite ends. So first one, we got rolling, mobility, core activation. That's going to be yin. Lighter warm-up sets to working sets of a power clean, for instance. That's going to be yin in those more technical, lighter sets, approaching yang as we get to those heavier, more taxing sets. And then box jumps, yang. Heavy front squats, yang. Bench press, yang. And then the post-workout sauna. this is going to be a yang stimulus with a yin effect. So the heat in the sauna is going to have the effect of raising your blood pressure, raising your heart rate. It's going to make you sweat. It's going to make you feel like you're working. But afterwards, there's going to be that yin effect with the hormonal boost, the growth hormone, the testosterone. It's just going to stimulate recovery after you get out of the sauna. And that workout is versus this more yin focused one. So you got rolling mobility, core activation like the first one, yin, breath focused, light jogging, yin, backwards jogging, side shuffles, and some light dynamic drills, also yin. And then we're going to get into some 100-meter buildups at a medium intensity with a work-rest ratio that's going to accumulate some lactic acid. So similar to the sauna, this is going to be a yang stimulus with a yin effect because you're not going so hard that you get all the way into that yang category. You're going to actually be stimulating recovery with the blood flow and, again, the hormonal effects that are going to come with that lactic acid. And then we're also, I didn't write it down here on this slide, but we're also going to have body weight strength and core circuits to basically hit different varieties of movement, different planes of movement. And we can also play with this work-rest ratio as well to make it more metabolically challenging and get that burn, that lactic acid that's going to give you that yang stimulus with a yin effect as well. And then lastly, we have a breath-focused meditation. So how many of you have programs that are composed predominantly of yang work, like the first workout? Any of you incorporate any work like the second workout? Finding the right balance can be pretty hard on your own, which is why even I have a coach to do my programming. So most importantly, yin and yang need to be balanced over a lifetime if you want to continue training and competing without completely breaking your body down or burning out. Balance is the precursor for longevity. Balanced systems last a long time. Athletes don't just get old all of a sudden when they turn 30 or 40. It's an accumulation of imbalanced training and lifestyle that leads to the tight, painful body and the clunky movement. This principle of balancing yin and yang in life overall has been super powerful for my guy, Adam. He's in software sales, and he found himself in a place where he not only dreaded work, but he also wasn't getting enjoyment out of training and playing ball like he used to. He felt super overworked, anxious, just out of it overall. He came to work with me to find balance in his life. Getting rid of his pain and performing better on the court were obviously important to him, but we realized that the lack of balance and mismanaged stress in his life was just preventing him from training and feeling the way he wanted to. So we reframed his overall mindset and completely reworked his training schedule. So we implemented some progressive warm-ups so that he could take some time to connect to his body instead of just jumping right into intense training after work. We also made sure to incorporate some active recovery sessions to keep him stimulated and spur recovery at the same time. Recently, I got on a call with Adam, and I was literally shocked at how energetic and down to earth he was. He told me his overall mood and headspace made a complete 180. And he also said that he's able to play pain-free for double the time now, and that his body feels stronger, more stable, and just more connected than ever before. That's just the power of structuring your training in a sustainable way. All right, so once you feel confident about the foundation you've built and you have a balanced training structure in place, it's time to test your limits. Step number 3 is to periodically tap into that performance bank you've been making deposits to. Any of you find yourselves trying to max out in the weight room or run your fastest mile time quite often? By doing this, you basically overdraft your performance account. The more you try and tap into your peak, the less you'll actually be able to build that peak through training. So don't go and run a marathon every week or test your vertical jump every other day or test your bench press every other day or every week. It's important that you test your limits and get a pulse on your progress, but you have to make sure you do this strategically. If you're in a rec league, save your all out performances for game nights. If you're training for strength, schedule max out weeks at the end of every month long cycle. One of my clients, Ye, really benefited from this kind of approach. So he was super plateaued in his training, and as a result, his motivation was low too. He didn't really feel like he was strong and explosive on the court anymore like he used to be playing basketball in college. We took a look at his training schedule and we saw that he was lifting heavy literally 5 days in a row with very little variation in his training. He was doing the same workouts, same exercises week on week on week. So first of all, we spiced up his routine with some new variations of lifts he hadn't been doing. We shifted his focus from going for big numbers all the time to improving his posture and technique in each lift. So he was still using weight that was challenging for him, but the focus on form and new variations didn't require him to use as much load to get a substantial stimulus. A month into the program, he said his friends were telling him how much his posture had just drastically improved and that running, jumping, and lifting had become wildly effortless. He was even able to squat 315 back squat with complete ease after never having put that much weight on the bar before. It sounds crazy, but when you slow things down a little bit in your training, like we did with Ye, you can actually speed up your results. All right, so if you've made it this far, you obviously take your training pretty seriously, and the state of your body is really important to you. To recap everything, if you want to go from feeling like you could be doing more and like your body just isn't responding the way you want, to feeling like you're truly maxing out your potential, then you should follow the 3 steps we mentioned. Number 1, solidify a strong foundation. Number 2, stay in flow and balance yin and yang to train sustainably. And number 3, make strategic withdrawals from your performance bank. If you're struggling with any of these steps and you found value in this material, I only have so much time in a short video, but if you're really committed to this, this is the kind of stuff we cover in Mind Your Movement. We'll rewrite your movement software through progressions and cues that are personalized for your specific injury history and imbalances so that we can build your foundation from the ground up and really solidify your awareness, your deep core activation, and your foot function. We'll also make sure that your training structure is balanced so that you never have to guess whether you're pushing too hard or babying yourself too much. And we'll even collect data on performance metrics that are relevant to your specific goals so that we can actually quantify your progress over time. If this all sounds great to you, just book a call below and we'll go over these 3 steps as they pertain to your specific situation. The call is totally free, 0% pressure, and even if it doesn't make sense to move forward, you'll come out of it with a clear roadmap on how to proceed. Even if we can just open your eyes to one of the holes in your foundation, you can make some crazy progress. So if that sounds fair, schedule a call below and we'll chat soon. Thank you for your attention, everyone. Peace.